Boys, we're back again. We're getting very close to the end here, folks. Only a few teams left, and today, as you can see, it's Jordan's favorite team, the Calgary Flames.
Let's
Today,
go.
Jordan is going to be the expert, and Johnny and I are just going to sit here for 30 minutes and let you talk. Hey, Jordan, can you handle that, you think?
Expert is a very loose term.
Also, good little shout out there, Donnie. Wonderful background today. R.I.P.
Beautiful.
Goudreau. Fucking legend.
Hey,
Um,
hey.
we're really looking forward to getting to the teams here now that we actually we watch more often with this being Calgary, and then we have obviously Winnipeg and Montreal left. So this is going to be the other ones are fun to do obviously, but now these are teams that we actually spend the majority of our time watching. So get ready for some action pack on that one, especially the Jets. I'll be a little more unhinged even on that one than I am normally. Once again, go and follow the Rink guys on Instagram at _Rink31. Scan the barcode on the bottom right corner there. Go follow everything else too. All your likes and downloads are greatly appreciated. And let's get into it. Jordan, this is your team. Love the puck there. Who's it signed by?
Yeah, the one and only Johnny Goudreau.
R.I.P. baby.
Obviously had a huge impact on the team while he was with them, and it was a really sad day when he ended up leaving to Columbus, and a way sadder day when that news came out when he passed away a few years back, and you still feel it kind of when you talk about him and think about the Flames. The first guy he comes to in this like new era is Johnny, right? The next. It just makes it hard, knowing that he's not around anymore. You're gonna make me emotional, Jesus.
You're welcome.
But what I want to say quickly off the top here is excited for the Flames to get that new building for next season. Last year in the Dome, this year.
Farewell to the Dome, baby.
Really cool. One of the cooler arenas I've actually ever been to. Just the whole setup. It looks very old school, but the feel in there, the acoustics, it's very nice for an older building. Went there with Dante for Jerome McGinley's jersey retirement night, and probably one of the best days of my life watching that. And we were sitting real close, and he's one of my favorite players ever. So yeah, there's some good memories in the Dome that I'm going to look back on throughout this year and remember. And then excited to go and check out the new one when it comes out.
I mean, we also went and saw a Calgary Hitman game there.
That was fun. Yeah. That Calgary Hitman was fun. I like that game was good too.
Yeah.
That was there's a lot of good memories in that Saddle Dome. It's obviously a new stadium is always very, very cool, but it's gonna be sad to say goodbye, especially for you guys, to old memories in that Saddle Dome.
Yeah. Do they have anything fun planned for the last year here? Like, are they honoring it? Like,
I'm sure they'll have something. They have a center ice. They have a center ice logo, so I'm assuming they'll do something. I hope it's more than just
something new on the ice, and I've heard that there could be some like giveaways and like special nights and stuff, like bringing back the 04 team and the Stanley Cup teams and stuff like that. But it's kind of just rumored. I haven't heard anything like really official on it. But
yeah.
I'm sure they'll do
stadium.
something.
Is the new stadium close by? Is it going in the same spot or?
Yeah, I think it's like right across from it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
interesting. It'll be very cool to see, especially we'll get right into it in the new stadium, the new blockbuster acquisition from the Calgary Flames, Simon Nemec. They traded for him for 2 top 10 protected firsts. And the best part about this trade, I'm going to go through it. I really like it because it doesn't involve any of Calgary's picks. It's 2 top 10 protected picks from Colorado and Vegas. So write that in there. They're going to be terrible 20 spots, whatever, right? A second round pick, which is originally a Vancouver pick that was via the Rangers. So once again, not exactly a very high pick either. The Rangers are projected somewhere in the middle kind of thing. They're a middle ground team.
That pick was this past year, I'm pretty sure. At second,
I think they used it already, right? Yeah,
they used it already. They had 4 second round picks this past year anyway. So you get rid of one.
And then not only do you acquire him, and then you sign him to 5 years at $7.25 million a season, which with the cap going up is a very
and with what some of these other defensemen have signed for, like that guy in Anaheim, it's a great deal, I think.
Exactly. So I'm gonna start all my questions basically to you, Jordan, just based on the fact that this is your damn team, and then Donnie and I will weigh in as we go along. What do you think what did you really think of this trade for Calgary when it was announced? And then do you think that Nemec has the ceiling to be a top line cornerstone for Calgary possibility with like a Parekh or something?
I'm definitely excited about it. Like he was a third overall pick at one point. Like there's definitely talent there. He might have been a little bit overdrafted, but everyone saw him as like a top 5 to 7 pick in that draft anyway. I think he's going to get a shot. He's definitely going to get way more opportunity here than he did in New Jersey. They're going to see what they got. I think for sure he's a, top 4 defenseman. After getting some time, hopefully he can take that step and be a top pairing defenseman. But I think the type of game he plays, long term, really balances out what you're going to have either in front of him or behind him, wherever Zane Parekh ends up slotting in. More of a two-way. Maybe you can play more of your shutdown defensive line that you trust defensively and stuff. Where Parex's an all-out offensive player and going to be, the Evan Bouchard of this team, where you're trusting him to create a lot of offense. So Nemec is kind of a nice balance on that next line on that side to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this Nemec trade. Like, I think when Nemec's name came out there, you kind of look around the league and think about what teams would be a perfect situation for him. And I think a team like Calgary, with the opportunity, like you're saying, Jordan, for him to kind of come in there, get ice time right away. I think he's arguably going to start top line, at least top 4.
I think he will be.
Get 20 plus minutes a night next season, to really have an opportunity to show what his ceiling is. This is a much better situation. I have no clue what New Jersey was doing in his development between him and Luke Hughes.
Awful
It felt like it was always one versus the other. They had those other veteran D there, and it just felt like they were trying to handcuff this guy every step of the way in his progression in his first few seasons. And yeah, I think has the potential to really be a big swing and homer by the Flames here if things work out.
I agree. I really liked the deal when it came out. Like Donnie, I talked about Nemec a little bit coming to the halves as an option with the right-handed D. I really do like him. It does create like a little bit like Jordan, like you were saying, a log jam on their defensive end for maybe this season, but they are expected to move out guys and stuff like that. Jordan's one of your biggest things you always say is you love a team that builds from the back end out. And
100%.
man, do I think the Calgary Flames are embodying that fully. Your goaltender is locked down and solid. One of the best. I love Wolf. One of the best bloody goaltenders there is. Then the Flames selected this year two-way defenseman Carson Carrolls with the 6th overall pick. He had a huge 73-point breakout season with the Prince George Cougars. He is committed to the University of North Dakota, which is not a big deal at all for Calgary in the situation that they're in. Let him have his development, bring him up slowly. You then have on the back end, you have now Nemec, you have Parekh, you'd add in Middleton, you got Brustovich, Ball. It seems like they have a very good lineup of defensemen here in Calgary that is going to be a very, very strong decor going to the future. Jordan, in your opinion, what do we expect here for the development time for these players, i.e., like Parekh and now Carson Carrolls, even Brustowitz? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think they're going to give these guys a ton of opportunity this year, especially Parekh, Nemec, and Kuznetsov and Buchnevitz. Yeah, however you say that. They're going to get tons of opportunity this year. I think what Calgary wants to do is, you have your White Cloud, you got your Kevin Ball, you got your Middleton, and have that as your solid veteran leadership that you can offset these younger defensemen with. Have them kind of have a stabilizing force beside them, give them ice time, trust them, let them make mistakes, let them grow on the NHL ice. That's a big thing that people were upset with Calgary last year with Parekh. We didn't really give him a ton of time, but I think that was planned. I honestly think the first half of the year they knew they were going to loan him to the World Juniors where he was going to get a ton of ice time. So they knew the first half of the year they're only going to use him, every third game, let him practice a ton, let him see lots of the game film, and get used to being at the NHL level in an NHL environment, using NHL workouts and stuff like that. Try and build that side of his game before pushing him on the ice. And then you saw after World Juniors, he got played a bunch. They kept putting out there. They gave him more opportunity. He was on the second line kind of the end of the year. I think they're going to do that with all their young defensemen. They're going to want to find out what they got if these guys can hit. I don't expect to see Carls this year. Maybe you play him in a game or two at the beginning of the season. I doubt it because they have so many defensemen. They have like 7 guys on NHL contracts. Contracts. Then you also have Perek, and you also have Brucenwitz. So I don't think Carl sees any time this year. But I think you're going to try and see what you got from all these other young guys and really see if they're going to stick in the NHL and let them learn at this level.
Yeah, I really love what the Flames have done on their back end in terms of young players that are ready to take that step and show what they can develop into, on top of players that are coming, like just the elite prospects like Carson Carroll's, some of these younger guys. One thing I love that they have done is like you're saying, Jordan, they have this veteran presence in Zach Whitecloud, Jacob Middleton. They haven't really even tied their hands with these guys. They're not on long-term contracts. If there's teams that come in and blow them away with trade offers in terms of futures and pieces that align with the direction of the Flames, you can also move those guys, right? So in the immediate future, they're veteran presence. You're not in a hurry to trade them out on the first trade offer you get, but you can also use those pieces in the long run to improve your team in other positions, right? And I look at the forward group as you've built this really solid foundation on your back end, and now you have all of these other pieces sprinkled in your forward group, which we'll dive into shortly, but then also on your back end where you can look at acquiring these pieces that will line up with your window and the core that you're building towards contention here, right? I'm really a big fan of what the Flames are building, and they're definitely going in a good direction for sure.
They definitely, as Dante said, as Dante said, they definitely took that approach, and I love when teams do this, build from the back end out, right? They let Wolf develop. Wolf won AHL goalie of the year 2 years in a row before they even called him up into the NHL. Like, just truly giving the guy a ton of time in the AHL and really finding out his game at, the pro level before making that jump. And then you saw it in his rookie year. He was, number 2 in rookie voting behind Hudson. I think rightfully so. I thought that was the right order, but he was right there. He made it entertaining, right? He made it a conversation, and you don't really see a goalie in that spot very often, which is cool to see. And last year I thought he took a bit of a step back, but it's a goalie, right? They kind of fluctuate a little bit.
With the
He's
team
still
as well,
young.
right?
He's trying to figure out, I'm the number 1 guy. How do I deal with this workload? I think he'll take a step forward this year. I think that because of that, they probably win a few more games than myself and majority of the Flames fan base want them to. But I think they have the recipe here to, down the road, be a very solid team.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, I agree. I really like you guys mentioned, the way they're building it's good. The only thing I'm going to look at now, I guess, with Calgary is when is they got to start developing now and drafting the forward core and adding the right players up front and having the right mindset on when to blend this team in. There's so many young guys on the roster. You're going to have to, like, Wolf is obviously ready to roll. He's good. Your back end, you got those vets like you mentioned, Jordan. Now it's going to involve a lot of blending of young guys in, bringing them in at the right times, letting them develop, and then adding to that forward core
and
as
that's the key with the NHL, right? Is we're in a season with 32 teams where you really have to build your cores in windows, where your back end develops. Your Zane Pereks, your Carson Carrolls, your Simone Nemec really take big steps forward. They become star players. You look at contract situations, you need to acquire players that fit that same contention window, right? So I think these next few years are absolutely critical for the Flames to develop some of these young pieces, figure out what they have in terms of long-term building blocks for this team. And we'll talk about their forward core, but there are a ton of forwards on their team that are a little bit older, not necessarily in their primes or entering their primes, that you can go and get assets that better fit your window and what you're building towards. So
let's dive right into that. Like, looking at they've been offloading a lot of veteran players. Like, they moved Coleman, they moved Mata, you got Middleton back. I don't remember exactly how old Middleton is. Sorry, I'm thinking he's a little bit on the older
late
side.
late 20s, I think.
Late 20s, I think, or
Yeah.
something like that. So he's going to be there for a while. You have rumors right now surrounding Frost. We kind of talked about him on the Toronto Maple Leafs pod about how he's at that weird age. It's like he's 27 years old. He fits in the lineup. Does he fit towards the end of the window? Where does he fit in? Do we move him? Do we get aspects for him? And then, of course, you have a bunch of other veterans on this roster. Like you got Huberdeau, which we all know might be an impossible task for them to move. Maybe it's not. You have Backlund, Jordan
Strome.
as the Strom. What is Calgary going forward? Do you expect them to move anyone else off this roster throughout the season? And
Oh yeah.
do you see a possibility of them actually being able to get rid of Huberto or not? And even Backlund, he's your captain. He's kind of like the Gallagher for you guys as Gallagher was for us. Is it time to move on from him, or do you let him ride out the sunset if he wants to ride out the sunset?
So I'll work backwards on those. First of all, Backlund, I think he means more to the Flames than he does to any other team in the league. Just what he brings as a leader. He's been there for forever. He learned under Iginla. Like he's just been there for a very long time. And I think what he brings in that dressing room means way more to Calgary than what any team he would go to he would mean for him. They'd have to get blown away by an offer to trade him. Honestly, I think they would just let him ride out his couple of years and then retire with the Flames. I maybe in like next year at the end of that season, if he wants, you trade him so he can go on a cup run somewhere or something. But I don't think it's this year. I don't think they move him there. Huberdeau, I think it's just a dead weight. Honestly, he went and got that hip surgery. I kind of talked to you guys about this before. A lot of guys don't come back from that, and if you do, you take a step back, and he already has taken quite a few steps back since they traded for him. I think that's a dead weight contract, and you just kind of have to kind of eat it. Maybe his injuries catch up to him in a couple of years, and it becomes an LTIR spot for the last 2-3 years of his deal. That's probably, unfortunately, the best thing you can hope for as a Flames fan if you want that contract off the books. But there's definitely guys here that you're going to move. Number one guy, I just mentioned him when you were talking, Strome. I think they definitely brought Strome in. This is his last year of his contract. He's going to get moved for sure this year. You hope
Pure
that he has
rental,
a bit
right?
of a You hope he has a bit of a step in the right direction this year and continue kind of where he led off with at the end of last year when he came over to Calgary. I thought he played great for them. So if he can kind of do that for the first half of the year, and then you can flip him for an asset. You picked him up for a seventh. If you get a second for him, that's a huge move of your assets. Great asset management by Conroy. I think Frost also on the last year of his contract. If you don't see them with a contract deal by the beginning of the season, which it doesn't sound like there's a lot of talk going on there, I think he's moved throughout this year. I don't think they hold on to him. They have a lot of guys in the system that they're going to want to give opportunities to down the road here, and I think he could probably get you a decent return if he plays how he can. There's obviously other guys that you can move on this roster. The big guy on the back end is White Cloud. I think they still have one more year after this one, so they're going to be in no rush to move him. But he's probably going to be what gets you the biggest return at this time if you're going to move anyone. I think that's where you're going to get it from.
Yeah, a few other names I have questions for you on, Jordan. I'm just looking at their projected lineup here. We heard about Connor Zary in the offseason. He was linked to be moved in the draft. He's a younger player. I think he had some pretty good years kind of working through his development, but if that's a piece that the Flames don't see a long-term plan for in their organization, that's one that they can move.
Yeah.
And then sorry, I'll respond to that one, I guess.
I think with I love Zari. I liked him when he came up. I think he plays with a lot of heart. Gives it his all every single shift. He's on the smaller end, and you've seen injuries kind of pile up a little bit on him, unfortunately. And I think that's kind of where the Flames have lost trust and faith in him. They just don't think he can be healthy for a full season. And I think that's kind of why they're looking to potentially move him. He's only 24 years old. If he sticks around, I'm good with it. Except his skill set is probably a bottom six player, and at his size and injury history, can he hold on to that role? I'm not sure. So that's why I think they're trying to maybe look at moving him out.
Okay, and then how about Farabee and Sharangovich? Those are two other ones that they came back in kind of similar trades to Calgary, where they were younger upside players that you were hoping were going to develop. I think Sharon Govich had a monster year his first year in Calgary.
Yeah.
Last few years has been a step back, but what are your take on those players?
Sharon Govich has been a little bit disappointing of the last couple seasons, especially like you said, Donnie, after that first year where I think he scored 30 and you're like, okay, this guy maybe can, be something here. You traded Toffoli for him and you're like, this is a great move for Calgary, right? You unloaded Toffoli and you got a guy that can score 30 that's much younger. They do have him locked up for this year and 3 more. So I don't think anything happens with him this year, but you need him to return kind of closer to what he was that first year down the road here if he's going to be part of the plans, because ultimately with how many draft picks they have piling up and stuff, there's going to be guys pushing for that spot. And if he can't kind of get back to that form, there's really no reason to be paying this guy $6 million when you can pay a guy, $1 million to do exactly the same, if not more than what he's given you. And then Farabee, I like Farabee. Farabee's pretty skilled. He came over from the Flyers, him and Morgan Frost together. I thought his first year, I was kind of underwhelmed with what I thought we were getting and then what showed up. This past year, he was better. He definitely felt more comfortable. And you kind of see that sometimes as guys get traded in the NHL. It takes them, a little bit to get their footing, right? For your first trade, you're a young guy. I was actually pretty impressed with what he brought this past year. And he does kind of, from everything I hear, he's kind of a leader in that dressing room. A lot of people kind of look up to him and he's a good voice in there. So I think he's going to probably stick around as long as he is at a good price. I think that's probably someone they look at extending this offseason, I think.
Okay.
Well, that's fair. Excuse me. Just to kind of continue on what you guys are saying there, like I said at the beginning there, it's an interesting situation Calgary's kind of in with the forward core. At least I like what they're at with the D core, but they do need to draft some more forwards sooner than later, I would think, which also raises the question, at the draft time, well, is the best player available a forward or defenseman? What do you do kind of thing at that time, which will start to raise some questions for them. And then Jordan, with Ryan Huska there, I will touch about him again later on, but I just wanted a quick question for you. Do you think Ryan Huska is kind of the future guy for a very, very long time, or is he there to develop your players and then move on from him?
I think Huska's great with the young guys. He came up with the Wranglers. He was really good down there. He moved up to the Flames. I think he really knows how to manage them and kind of talk with them. And he's like the right kind of coach for a young team. I do think Calgary's going to give him a shot when that window does open, probably in 2-3 years. When that window opens to be competitive, they're going to give him a shot. But I think they'll be quick to pull the trigger if it's not working with him. You're not going to wait around and hope that this guy you brought in to develop your young guys can now take that next step with the team when he hasn't shown that. But I think for this time right now, I think he's a good guy for the job.
Fair enough. Before we continue on with we're going to go into a little bit of what Calgary did in the draft here, and then we'll finish her off with what we think for the future. Before we go into that, we'll take a quick little break and hear from DraftKings again, and we'll be right back.
It all comes down to this, a best-of-7 battle, and DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series, all in one place with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN. Spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Bet with DK Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, that text pass through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings. Predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks, expire in 1 year. Team 1 non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28. Terms at dkng.co/audio.
All right. right, back right at it. We're gonna dive into one of the topics that I actually really love. Jordan, one of his favorite players growing up, is Iginla, and I know how desperately you wanted Teach to be drafted by um by them, but
I almost fell apart at that draft when he got
yeah,
battle there.
we watched that. Was I there that one? I can't remember, but I know you
Yeah.
were pretty heartbroken with that. But
Yeah.
you got a little bonus, a little bit of consolidation prize here. They drafted Joe Iginla this season. He's not projected to be what Tej is, but it's still an Iginla back with the Calgary Flames, which just feels right in my opinion. Do you think that we know what Joe's abilities really are going to be? He's not really projected to be top of the crop, but do you think his dad's legacy makes unrealistic expectations for what kind of player he's going to be going forward?
I don't think so. I think you still got to look at the prospect for who he is. He's probably maybe high end middle six winger, probably a bottom six winger realistically. What I do think his last name kind of gives him is maybe a little bit more runway with the team. Maybe Calgary gives him a little bit extra shots, a little bit more time in the system, give him that extra year to try and, come up before cutting ties with him if he's not figuring it out or finding his footing. I think that's ultimately what you'll see. I don't think from the fan base I hope not at least, they think that they're going to get Tidge because he's not that skilled guy, but I think he could be like a bottom six guy that you're pretty happy with.
Yeah, could you guys imagine if Jerome McGinley was the head coach and he would have drafted his son? Wouldn't that have been outrageous?
Why would you ever reach and do that?
The
Okay.
Canucks.
Wait,
already,
that's
right?
what Manny Malhotra said. Yeah,
Crap.
never mind. But damn, eh? But at least, they drafted
Dante.
Joe in the 65th overall. Yeah. What?
Dante, have you ever built a team before?
No, apparently, well, if you read the comment section, I've never built a team. That being said, neither has the fucking Vancouver Canucks, so I should have said that. But, you know what? I really like this draft pick. They didn't get Tej. They got Joe. They drafted him 65th overall. I don't remember where he was projected. Do you guys remember?
Reach? I think
Was it a slight reach at that position? Did they secure him?
Mid-70s, so 10 picks early. Not huge, right? Not a gigantic reach, but I think it was a slight reach, but take it. I'm fine with that.
This next thing I want to talk about, I'm actually going to start with Donnie first on this one instead of Jordan, just because Jordan, your heart will say yes. So I'm gonna go with Donnie here. In the NHL recently, we're seeing a lot of brothers wanting to play together in the NHL right now. You saw Tkachuk do the Tkachuk move. It might have been the wrong way of doing it. It was the wrong way of doing it. Then you talk about the Hughes brothers, and although Quinn hasn't exactly joined them, it's always been on the talking point that he wants to do that. Then you have 2 out of the 3 Hughes brothers together right now in New Jersey. I think Quinn, the only reason why he's really not there right now is because he's been given a good opportunity to chase maybe a cup with a better team in Minnesota than I think New Jersey kind of is. But the point of the topic is, I'm going to start with you, Donnie. With this being the way it is, do we see a future where we maybe see Tej Iginla wanting to go down this route, wanting to be a Calgary Flame, not forcing a move, but pushing a move to happen? Or do we maybe even see Calgary just saying, listen, Utah, you're not exactly developing the way we think you should, or they're not developing the way that the league thinks they are, they're not going to compete, so throwing a rather large trade package for Tej? What do you think, Donnie?
Yeah, I got 2 points on this one that I'll cover.
Let's hear it.
First point, I think Joe needs to make the NHL first. I think a mid-third round pick, there is still a pretty big risk of
he's
him
a Ginla, bro. He's fucking making the team.
Maybe he's AHL bound. Maybe he'll play a few NHL games, but to be like a bona fide regular NHLer, it takes a lot of work to get there. So I think we need to see a little bit more from him there. Second, these guys are not Americans. I think there's a certain level of arrogance when it comes to being an American NHL player in today's NHL that these Canadian players just naturally don't have.
I'm telling Cole Caulfield.
We're talking about these brothers that want to get together. I don't think it's a coincidence that they're all American-born players. Kachuk's, we're talking about the Hughes brothers, left, right, and center. The Stalls that was never a storyline for their careers. Eric, Jordan, Mark, Canadian-born guys. And I think it's also been rumored, or not rumored, but Jordan, you can kind of talk to this more, but TJ Gillen wanted to create his own path outside of his dad's shadow a little bit, which Caleb Malhotra now can't do. Shout out the Canucks again. But yeah, it's a two-way street that needs both brothers wanting to do that, right? So, and to your point, Jordan, TJ wanting to not play for Calgary potentially in his draft here.
Yeah, there was definitely rumor there that he maybe didn't really want to be drafted by Calgary because he wanted to cement his own path and have his own expectations and figure it out himself without kind of being in his dad's shadow or being boosted up by his father's legacy in Calgary. Selfishly, yeah, I'd love to see both these guys in the NHL and playing on the same line as each other. Ultimately, to Donnie's point, I don't think it's going to happen. Like he said, I don't think Canadians really do that. They just like playing hockey. They're not. I don't know if any Canadian really forces their way out of cities. And then on top of that, yeah, Joe has to make the NHL. He still has a long way. Tish probably is there next year. He's probably playing in the league next year. But he was also a 6th overall pick when Joe's in the 3rd round. So there's a lot of work that has to be done there before that happens. So I think if anything, it's way down the line when Tish becomes a free agent if Utah doesn't keep him, and then he wants to re-up with his brother at that point. That's kind of where you'll see it.
Fair enough. I'm going to go devil's advocate. I think it happens. I know you guys put more stock into the American brother thing than I do. Like, I just think, like, Tkachuk, piece of shit, fuck him. But I don't put any of it into the Quinn Hughes situation. Vancouver had a long time to do something with that fucking team, and they've done nothing. Nothing at all. Like, at some point, you got to also... I get it. Some of the American players are in their own heads. Not all of them are. But you got to give some onus to some of these teams as well that have done absolutely fucking nothing to compete with some of these guys that they've been given. Also, I think it's going to happen based on the fact that Utah doesn't really they don't strike me as a team that's going to either be good or bad. You know what I mean? I see them as one of those teams that are always going to be stuck in the middle. They're going to make playoffs. They're going to be like Toronto. They're going to get eliminated in the first round all the time. I see them as one of those little middle teams, which then makes me hope and believe that one day they're going to be like, I need to make a big change in this roster. Something's not working.
Calgary, who's been like the king of middle teams
let me get there. Don't fucking enter. Let me get there. By the time they do this, I think Calgary's going to be way farther down the road here with their rebuild, and I'm calling it right now. Jordan, you've said something like along these lines before too. They will trade Zane Parekh for someone like TJ Ginla down the road. Yeah. I think their defense on the back end is going to be so fucking stacked that they're going to have the ability to move a very big name guy out, and I think Utah as a team that's just going to want to make a change because
at that point maybe
a team that's good. I think there's going to be a team that's looking for a change. I think Calgary's ownership is going to take advantage of a situation that they have and bring in TJ Ginla.
Yeah,
it's obviously a hope and a prayer, but I can see I see it happening more so than not happening.
It's a lot of projecting, but I don't hate it.
I don't agree with that Utah take at all. I think Utah's building a very good core. They have Dylan Gunther, Logan Cooley, TJ Ginla, Nick Schmaltz.
Sometimes it just doesn't fucking work, man.
They're building a dangerous team here, and I think they're going to be contending.
I also think they're going to take a next step this next year, and their biggest question mark to me is Umolka in net, and if he can really be a starting goalie or not.
Yeah.
We'll trademark this for the future, but I'm calling it right now. They're going to be one of those teams that just never goes fully past the next step. They're building a great core. No, he's going to the expansion team. You've already established that. They're building a great core, yes, but I just don't see them taking that next step when they need to. I see them being like a Buffalo, to be honest with you. A team that has good names all over up and down their roster that just can't figure it out. Back to Calgary here, just going there. We're going to look at their future a little bit here. we've been talking about their future the whole time. Unfortunately, Jordan, I know all we can do is talk about the Calgary Flames' future. I know your hopes probably for the season are finishing dead last in the NHL. You know what I mean? I'm assuming that's where you want them to be, or at least somewhere there for a good chance at a lottery pick.
Yeah, I would love to be, a bottom 3 team and then have 2 teams jump us, so we're picking at 5, Super Calgary Flames draft lottery odds.
Hopefully that doesn't happen, but given their current outlook, how many years, in your opinion, or your want, for example, are you thinking they're away from competing again? And when I say competing, I'm not saying Stanley Cup contenders. I'm saying kind of like what Montreal was maybe last season, where you expected them to kind of push for a playoff spot, and then they're an exciting young team again to kind of watch, and you're watching them develop, kind of thing. Where do you think that outlook is with them?
So I personally think they definitely have some guys in the pipeline that are coming up that they're probably happy with. Their biggest question is forward group. That's why at the draft I was thinking they were going Bjork for the longest time. And then I said to you guys, even when Carl's was as soon as their pick came up and Carl's wasn't gone, I said, they like Carl's. I think Carl's is now going to be the pick. And sure enough, he ends up being the pick, right? They love that defenseman. They've definitely built from the back end. And they've taken shots on some of these forwards that have gone to college, and they've hit on them. They got that Cole Reshny, who's University of North Dakota. He's pretty solid. He probably comes in next year, I would think. Mateev Gridin is going to be getting some time this year, probably in your top 6. At 20 years old, saw him a little bit in the end of last year. I think he's been pretty solid.
Yeah, was he almost a point per game in his time?
Yep.
Last
he
year,
was
pretty close.
Yeah, he was just under a point a game. Yeah, so nothing wrong with that. See if he can take another step, right? They also got that Ethan Watton back from the Quinnipiac University. He's probably coming in next year too. There's talks about him potentially coming this year, and it sounds like Calgary actually talked him into going back to school for another year, saying
the reverse Michael Hage.
Yeah, you think you'd get more out of going back for one more year with where our team's at. I think they have some options. Colin Porter's another guy. They have these college guys that are really ready to take that next step that I think as a Flames fan you're excited about. See how this next season goes. Yeah. Also with the new building, I have a feeling that this next year, coming into this year, they have $14 million in cap space. So I think going into next year, if there's a free agent out there or two, and they're going to go make a big splash with the new building coming in and, try and almost take an unnecessary step to me, maybe rush it a little bit, which I hope they don't. I hope they just trust that the new building's enough to bring fans in and get them excited, and all those young players I just mentioned that are in college that are probably going to come out, maybe, and that'll excite everyone too. And then you're probably, another year. So I would say 2 to 3 years, and then they're probably in a competing window. They start to open that window, right?
Yeah, I think that new building symbolizes the fresh start that they're just starting to walk into as a team, right? We talk about, to your point, Jordan, I think these next few drafts are super important for this Flames team.
Critical.
I think you exclusively have to look at forward with those top picks. I don't think you're looking at defense anymore. And we talk about the opportunity early in the pod here about these pieces that still have value. Like we're talking about the first half of the season. Go out this season, play as hard as you can, show your worth, show your progression, show your value on the forward side, and trade whatever pieces you can by the deadline to get valuable assets that fit the direction your team's going. I think the Flames, I'm going to make a bold take right now, and I think in 3 years' time, we're going to be talking about the Flames dominating the Battle of Alberta. I think McDavid walks from Edmonton. I think that spurs them into a pseudo rebuild with things going on, and I think the Flames are going to be on the upswing, the better team at that point, 3 years from now.
I can see that happening. Yeah.
Who's the top guy in this year's draft coming out?
Landon Dupont is the Canadian defenseman. He's a defenseman. He is.
So the Flames will get him.
But he's kind of top
a beast,
5.
though, man.
I'm just kidding. That would have to be them getting a first overall pick, and they just don't do that. So
I think there's
players. I'm going to throw a hypothetical, okay, Jordan? Landon Dupont is the clear number one pick here. Okay, he's a stud of a defenseman. Okay, Calgary gets the first overall pick. Are you going to then take the next best available forward?
No.
Do you draft him, or do you move a defenseman on the back end or that pick for TG Ginla?
You pull the trigger and you draft him. Like regardless of what your team looks like and how is it built, you have to take the best player available. And if he's head and shoulders better than the other players, you pick him and then you figure it out later. If that means that pushes Parekh out and you have to trade him for something, if that pushes Nemec out, whatever, you have to trade him and make that move.
Ginla, welcome to Calgary.
You have to take the best player available, regardless what position it is. And if that's the guy that's sitting there, you grab him.
Yeah,
You definitely grab him.
I don't think it's as clear cut a year from now as what it is right now. There are a few players. There's this Russian winger, Nazar Privalov, guys playing in the KHL at 17 years old.
No thanks.
6'4" winger, and then there's this Alexis Joseph, French centerman in the queue. Guy's 6'4", 200 pounds at 16 years old. Centerman.
That's
so
more
overweight.
That's a guy. That's a guy that could skyrocket. We talk about teams kind of prioritizing big centers.
Well, Donnie, is Ryan Huska's son in the draft at all? Because he'll probably skyrocket towards the end and get drafted by.
Is
Calgary,
there
right?
another Iginla brother? Who knows?
No, I think there's only two of them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I actually thought there was a third Iginla brother, but there is only two, right, Jordan?
There's no illegitimate son out there.
There's no illegitimate sons that Jerome has coming out of the.
How about a daughter that could play in the NHL someday?
He has a daughter who was drafted to the P-Dub.
Yeah, she's in the PW.
Maybe she will convert over. Who knows?
I'll wrap it up.
Like Cantor for the NBA.
I'm going to commit myself to the WNBA draft.
I think everyone should. I mean, to be honest.
I would still get smoked. So.
See, I was going to go the other way. I think you guys would probably dominate them. As long as you're good at getting your rebounds.
I can outboard Angel Reese.
Any day. Well, okay. I'd love to see that, actually. That'd be pretty. She did lose to a 14-year-old boy. So, yeah, she did lose to a 14-year-old boy. So,
let's get it
layup better.
I'll ask one last thing here, Jordan, towards the end. I was going to touch base a little bit. We kind of talked about it in our group chat about these Jack Eye rumors to Calgary. I think we all kind of agreed it doesn't really make sense for Calgary with the log they have on defense. That being said, he's a player that you would love to have on your team. I just don't see where he would fit in this Calgary lineup or what assets they would actually want to give up to acquire him, especially when Calgary should be using all their draft capital for the next couple of years here to try to stock up some forward gems. So Jordan, I'm going to ask you for one last final thought, and I want you to also give me just your confidence rating, because there's not really an off-grade season that you can give these guys right now based on where they are in their future. What's your confidence rating in your GM team going forward and handling this rebuild? And then give me a final thought, bro.
So it's funny you say you can't give a grade. I can. I'm giving them an A for this offseason because I think it's exactly what they needed to do. Not reach on someone. Don't sign free agents.
That's fair.
Don't need to bring them in. We have guys that can play in the lineup. You want to give your young guys some playing time. I think they've done perfect. They added a defenseman that became available. That's probably in your window of growing this team up into the next level at a good cost. And then, I think you hit some good spots in the draft and figure out if that's going to fly. I have so much faith in Craig Conroy to do the right thing. I don't know if he's lost a trade yet. He keeps sending guys out and getting great returns. He traded Uyghur for 3 second-round picks. Insane. He goes and trades a 7th-round pick for Strome that he's probably going to flip this year for a second, third. Great asset management. He goes and adds and brings Olimata back, which then is allowed for you to flip him to bring in Middlestad. That's younger, and he's going to fit more into what you want from a defenseman with that physical edge and be able to defend people. I just think every single move that Conroy has made so far is in the best interest of this team. He hasn't reached on anything. He hasn't tried to rush anything. He has told the ownership group, hey, this is a rebuild. We're fully rebuilding. It's not one of those retools, try and 1-2 year quick turnaround. No. Burn it to the ground. We have the goaltender, which is the most important part. Let's build it back up from the ashes. And I think they've done a great job so far of doing that. I haven't been upset with any trade they've made. I really do believe in Conroy and what he brings as a GM. I said to you guys, like, when we talked about Vancouver, I love these former players as general managers and as head coaches. I just think they bring a completely different aspect to the game, a different respect, a different understanding. How many times do you sit around in the locker room and they're talking about these moves and stuff, right, with other players and stuff that happens during the season? It's like, oh yeah, I would do this or do that or whatever. Like, everyone's playing fantasy GM. And then some of these guys actually take it to the real life because they have that smarts, they have that vision, they have that ability. Conroy has my full endorsement, and I will ride with him until the wheels fall off. That's where I am with Conroy in this offseason and going forward. Ultimately, my take for my last thing here is they're going to win more games this year than you want them to. I think they're probably going to end up being around that 8 to 10 pick again, like they were a couple of years ago, because I think Wolf's just going to steal some games for you, unfortunately. I think that ultimately it probably won't hurt them with what they have in the system, but you never know. I just really hope that they do this last year at the Dome right. They do some big nights for the fans. They appreciate the fans. They, do some giveaways and give the building the proper send off that it should deserve. Win that last game. Just win the last game there. That's all I'm asking. Win the last game.
Fair.
Yeah.
Donnie,
your comments on Craig Conroy just resonate with me. Like, makes me feel a lot of similarities with the first few years, Dante, we saw of Kent Hughes in Montreal.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
100%.
Like, kind of taking over a team that's, you've talked about start of a rebuild. You're in the phase where you're
1000%.
kind of building these pieces. You're acquiring assets. We talk about that Sean Monahan trade, Dante, where the Habs got a first for taking Monahan on from Calgary, flipped them for a first, just unbelievable deal. Never lost a trade in his first few years, right? But this is the easy part of the rebuild, right? Is when you're building these pieces, you have all these holes, you're sucking, you're building your cupboard, you're stocking your cupboard up for the real push here. And when you finally get those pieces, you're going to have Zane Parekh, you're going to have Carson Carrolls on your NHL team coming out of their entry-level rosters, selling those players on the direction of the team, getting them locked up on team-friendly deals, which, Dante, that was also Kent Hughes' huge strength. We'll talk about that on the Habs pod more. But getting your core locked into your window and then filling the remaining holes to really push for a cup while Dustin Wolf is still young, right, Jordan? Like, you have your goal, like you're saying. Your clock's ticking. It's Dustin Wolf's career at this point, right? You might be able to extend that towards the end as he's into his mid-early 30s, but the clock's ticking on Conroy, and this will be a very important year to start unloading some of these pieces while they still have value. And continuing to build up here. But I really like where the Flames are going. Trajectory is looking good. And, I'd give them a very strong outlook as well. I think as far as what Conroy could be doing, I'd give them an A with where things are at.
Yeah. I really like what they did as well. Like, they're doing it, like Donnie said, you touched all the things. I'm not going to repeat them. They're doing the exact same. They're doing the right things. They're doing what Montreal did, which is why we can really connect with it. My only final thoughts I'll say is so long to the Saddle Dome. Maybe we try to drive out there for one last game, see how it, just the atmosphere. I'm sure it'll be a great last season in there. And then I'm really hoping, Jordan, for the sake of a rebuild, I think you always need that one stud first round pick. So I'm really hoping that Calgary gets that first, whether it's this year or next year. There are some great players. We just saw the Gretzky Holinka tournament go on, and
Maddox Schultz would be unbelievable.
Maddox Schultz is going to be 2 years away. I think that's your perfect option for a first round pick. So hopefully the stars align for the Flames and they get it. Until then,
to both your points, first on Donnie, it is a big question on how a GM negotiates big contracts and keeps big time players at good deals and doesn't give a ton away, and we haven't really seen that with Conroy. His biggest signing is Dustin Wolf at 7.5 a year, but is coming off a rookie season. So Wolf didn't have a ton to stand on. Yeah, he was great, but right, you've only proved it for one year. That'll be the biggest question mark, I think, with Connor, and if he can sign those good contracts down the road and get people under good deals, good team friendly deals, which Montreal is laughing with what they've signed their guys to compared to what the rest of the league's doing. And to your point, Dante, I do think for a true rebuild, for your team to really be good for years and years, you need a top pick. You need maybe multiple. And I hope somehow the balls can fall right for Calgary down the road here.
I think they will. And once again, thank you for joining, everybody. We're gonna wrap
Final
this
thought
one
for
up.
me. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Habs last game at the Saddle Dome, January 28th. Let's book
Might
a
be
trip.
a nice little road trip, boys.
Let's do it.
And it's an easy one to drive out to, honestly.
Podcast on the road. Let's do it.
Fuck. That'd be fun. Yeah, we'll look at that. I think that'd be a good time. I think we should try to at least go to the Saddle Dome once. It's not that bad of a trek over there, and
Yeah.
I like the Saddle Dome. I lived in Alberta for a couple of years there. I went to a couple of Calgary Hitman games, both with you guys and without. Went to that whole Gretzky Helenka tournament when it was there too. I like the Saddle Dome Arena. It may
Nicer
be
than,
older.
MTS Center.
Well, whatever the heck. Yeah, what's it called now anyway? Canada Life Center.
Couldn't tell you.
Whatever it is.
Shell
I do really like the Saddle Dome. Well, don't worry, we'll have lots of time to trash the Jets and the Jets podcast. Although I'm sure you guys will be way nicer than I am. All right, we're gonna wrap it up, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it, boys. Next pod we have is going to be the Winnipeg Jets, our hometown team. We'll see you guys then. Thanks again.
Peace.
Thank you.